All right, so let's finally talk about House of the Dragon.
Yes.
All right, I'll put it like this, right? So we're not gonna go full details into everything that premise wise it
Yeah.
happened because it is just so grand and just so complex and whatnot, right? But we will share our thoughts on that on the season itself, right?
Yeah.
So just to kick things off, right? Game of Thrones itself, right? I still rank that show as one of the best TV series we've gotten in
Yeah.
the 21st century. Even though, yes, the last two seasons, dropped the ball, especially that last one.
Yeah.
I honestly think that it just should have been one season because, I mean, like, the last two seasons were like, I think season 6 was 7
My
episodes and 8
Yeah,
was
no, my attitude
6,
was,
I think. Yeah.
yeah, my attitude was, it's, again, somebody have to explain this clearly to me, because I still don't have a good answer to it. Somebody need to explain to me why it is they couldn't get a new showrunner, right? I still don't understand why the show had to end with them. When D&D leave, the show could have gone on.
Exactly,
I
yeah.
still don't get why it couldn't go on. It could at least do a 2 more seasons, minimum. 3 seasons if you want to,
Yeah.
make it work. But the show had to end with them for some reason. It is never
Yeah.
clear to me why that happened. And the only explanation to me is that they put some kind of weird dead man switch in the contract. So when them leave, the show had to end. That's the only explanation.
Right.
And because it really come across, they were trying to leverage themselves. You know what it feel like? It feel like the Fine Brothers. You know what the Fine Brothers are? Anyone knows who those are? Where the Fine Brothers try to corner the market on reaction videos. Remember that bullshit? Look it up. That's what it felt like. They just kind of just say, look, without us, this whole thing had a torpedo for whatever reason. And their career has burned
Of course, yeah.
after that. And that's the only explanation. Why it is that they would burn their career like that. You don't get your career burned because you fuck up a show. You get your career burned because you do some weird nonsense. That's the only explanation, whatever. And I thought it was very unfair to a lot of people. Like, we could talk about pop culture, whatever it is, but Game of Thrones was in the pop culture, Jared.
Yes, it was, yeah.
And for them to, like, just burn that shit to the ground in the way they did, and no, like, for a hot while, for a good while, nobody's talking about Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones dead, Look, I ain't no big fan of Game of Thrones myself, but, like, that's kind of bullshit, though.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we could talk about jobs and careers and wherever it is and all this. But with this show, it really feel like Game of Thrones come back.
Yes,
Not
yes.
as good as Game of Thrones.
No.
Not yet. Still not yet. We could debate about that. But I thought this was Game of Thrones trying to come back. I know they're trying to make out other spin-offs, and they might be falling through or not. We're not sure. 'Cause I heard they want to do the one with the seafarer. I heard they want to do another one with the the other guy, the one closer to the time of Game of Thrones. Like they're
Right.
trying to do the Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
They're trying to do that where you could pump in and out where a story going to be told and why. Like right now, I absolutely loving Andor, for example, right? Andor is prequel stuff, but it's still pretty damn good. And again, if you really want to do that with this, like, okay, you can't do Game of Thrones and it have some, again, all of this, the only explanation to this, every time you see weird nonsense like this, is some contract crap. Somebody get the TV rights and you can't do anything with the TV rights. This is a old ancient battle. People just do that shit all the time. But those two guys were particularly nasty. Somebody please correct me and see, somebody please correct me. That it's the only explanation. Whatever. Game of Thrones is back.
Yes,
It feels back.
is. Yes.
People actually excited. They're talking about it. I again, as I said, what happened with Game of Thrones always felt unfair, and I really felt like they're coming back and bringing things back. And because of COVID was another hammer now, that just threw off the whole thing because they could have probably rallied a little faster if it wasn't for COVID. But everybody get affected, so whatever. Moving on. So yeah, but I really enjoyed this. I wasn't super into it. I was taking my time with it. Every 2 episodes. I'm doing that with most shows right now.
Okay.
Every 2 episodes. I just taking my time with 2 episodes. So like Atlanta doing that with Abbott and Elementary are doing that with. The only show that actually have me excited literally every episode right now. Only one show that pulling that off for me is
Andor.
Andor. Yeah, Andor really up there. But yeah, that's about it. I just didn't expect to enjoy this as much as I did. Great season. The finale is great.
Oh my God!
That
Yes,
is
yes.
a
Which we will
solid
talk
damn
about.
finale.
Yes.
I mean, all I need to do is with my twin brothers, the three twin brother there.
Yep.
The twin brother thing cracked me up though. It's like, all right, that real hard.
Yeah.
They make it work. That's another thing too. It is a lot more streamlined narrative wise, because
Yes.
one of the big
And
I'll say
I'll explain. I'll explain how why I agree with you.
yeah, one of the big flaws with Game of Thrones is not a big flaw. I mean, it's just a mild flaw. Is that it a little still too much for book fans a little bit. So it's still like if you adapt a book too much. So it have all these characters you have to follow, and it's something
Right,
you can.
and it feels very chapter-like. Like
Right, that's the problem. Right,
every
exactly.
episode feels like
And
a
you have
chapter, like chapters.
all these spinning parts and moving parts, and it don't flow as well as a TV show or a film could do. And this in my opinion, they really mastered the adaptation aspect of it. I know it might have some people who don't like that. I like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was thinking the same thing too. Like, maybe people might find, well, why aren't there other characters outside of this
No.
house, if you will, that we
No.
should follow? It's like, no,
Yeah,
that's
no,
not,
this
that's
is
not what it is.
ultimately a much smarter call doing it like this in my opinion.
Yes.
In my humble opinion. And yeah, that's about it. I didn't think it would have been as good as it was. Because I remember when it coming back, I was like, wait, but Game of Thrones come back, all right. And it's like Lord of the Rings, all right. Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, people go and compare it, and it in my opinion, did a better job with the material than Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings had one massive problem: the pacing. It was absolutely atrocious.
Yes, you're right.
Right, the pacing in Lord of the Rings was absolutely atrocious. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know if to cut down episodes or something, but
And
this,
it was only 8 they had,
yeah,
compared to
but the
compared
pacing
to
was
the show's 10
the
episodes,
pacing
right?
was terrible in Lord of the Rings. This had good pacing. They time it well. The trick to it is they had to get people talking for a whole week, Judd.
Yes.
That's the trick. It had to stop in a good space, get people to keep talking about it, and then you pick back up. And I thought they nailed it. And around episode 4 or 5, I was like, wait, boy, Game of Thrones come back, Judd.
Yeah.
Like, I really happy for everybody involved. We'll see if it's sticking around or what going on with that. What going on with thing, if they could get more products out. Right now, well, we could debate about this, but right now, I think quality should be subvenient to quantity. My attitude is just get the show out, get it on air, and then you could talk about quality after. You don't have to super plan it out and make it perfect or anything like that. And it's kind of like my attitude with Star Trek now, right? Star Trek, you had a baby title it now.
Right.
Put it out there, get it out there, just make sure it's on air. And then you worry about the quality after, and you can pick it up after. Some shows suffer, some shows not so much, right? Like, Star Trek Discovery, a halfway on that show, Star Trek Picard, absolutely hate it. Don't work at all. Although that show should have less of an excuse, to be honest. But all the other shows I've been enjoying. Strange New Worlds, great. Prodigy, great.
Yeah.
I think that they should do the same thing with Game of Thrones. Pour the material, get the show off the air, just make sure on a production level you have it moving now. Just have the wheel spinning. And then you can worry about the writing after. Right? Because the thing is, the writing in a sense done. The world building is there. It's not hard. You don't have to super plan it out to come up with some brilliant idea. Just good drama. Not hard to write good drama.
Agreed, yeah.
And we'll see. I don't know. But yeah. Let's talk about the actual season itself.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, in a nutshell, because again, just a large plot here, right? The story pretty much centers on King Viserys, right?
Yeah.
Viserys or Targaryen, right?
Yeah.
He is running the Seven Kingdoms right now, and we are introduced to some family members associated with him, right?
Right.
So we have Prince Daemon, who is played by Matt Smith. You know what I mean? One of our favorite doctors from Doctor Who, and yeah, he crushes it in this with this performance here, no doubt, right?
He's the only thing that was good in Morbius.
Well, yeah, I still haven't watched Morbius today. That's still on my to-watch list.
Right.
I want to watch it by years in, right? We also introduced to Viserys' daughter, Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
And we are introduced to her, I believe she's age 15 at this point in time, right? And also she has a bestie, I will call her, by the name of Alicent Hightower, right? And also...
This is a Negroni with a splagliato, if you know that meme.
Yeah.
If you know that meme, it's a good meme.
Right.
Yeah.
Whose father just happens to be, the hand of, King Viserys, right?
Yeah.
And what this show does just pretty much show, they kind of set it up early on with the opening sequence. Just shows just how this House of the Dragon pretty much has been divided. They're split down the middle, right?
Okay, so another nice little world building thing is a big one. The big plotting thing is that, it have way more dragons.
Yes,
then.
yes, yes.
And we understand why. And you understand why it had so few dragons in the time of Game of Thrones. Like, at the time of Game of Thrones, 2 or 3, 4 dragons.
Yeah, it was almost like an extinct race.
More or less, right.
They're right there in this cave. Ooh, right. And, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's other, I don't want to say tons, but there's other side characters involved. But what the show does very well, it just centers more on, I just call this show the pumpkin vine of the dragon, because you have cousins, you have nephews, nieces, you have people who marry into the family and all that kind of stuff, right? And essentially, it's just about this group, this faction, if you will, just pretty much saying, all right, for us to be strong, for us to be dominant in the world of the of Westeros, right? Yeah, we kind of have to marry into each other, right? So it had to be family member kind of marrying each other, right?
Well, normal royalty thing.
Exactly.
Normal royalty thing. They had to keep it within the framework. No?
Keep it all in the family thread. And one thing, like, this is some really, like, it's not new, but it's really, like, provocative material, right? But the show handles it very, very well. They don't do it in a smutty or gratuitous kind of way.
This straight up a man with a foot fetish shirt. Like,
Boy.
That is a whole emotional run for character, Judd. And that cracked me up when I find out
without spoiling much, Joe, it's about acquiring information.
Yeah, Judd.
Like, when I say that, like, wait, that's what it's about. Like,
yes,
you just send yourself out through this method. Like, come on, bro.
You're thinking way more. He's up high fluting some boy. He's Quentin Tarantino one time. It's like, well, word, Judd. And that cracked me up, Judd. I like, you're serious? But like, it makes some sense. Like, it's not something that's totally arbitrary or anything like that. And the writing is solid. Like, all of it clearly JRR, he signed off on all of this, right?
Yes.
And that's why the quality is still good. I can't be mad at any of it. Again, Game of Thrones is back. Like, I can't say it isn't. Yeah. Like, I really want to see if they're gonna get more material again. We had to wait a hot minute because here we had to wait. I think we had to wait like 2 or 3 years
for another season.
I think it's 2 years for season 2. So that makes sense.
I guess, but it's to kind of still get people to be
that's what I'm saying.
About
that's what I'm saying on the production.
That's why I guess that's why HBO Max is a good thing,
Right.
At least more people will still check it out and watch.
We'll see. Right? Because the business is in an interesting space right now in terms of like, well, where the money going and who have what production wise, and then all of this drama going on with CGI, and who getting paid and CGI do have a union and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Marvel feeling the most heat with that, but yeah, everybody kind of feeling that's a across the board problem, right?
Right.
In terms of like where they're going to go. So it's again on the production and I feel things go get stopped up now.
Okay.
And the only answer to that, to solve them kind of things, is to have other shows now within the same franchise. You keep reminding people that the franchise exists, so people don't forget. I mean, look, it's Game of Thrones. It's kind of hard to forget, but still.
Yeah, no, but it is possible. I think that is the most logical step, right?
Right. And yeah. So I really want to see what they're gonna do going forward. I heard they want to push. I heard they're trying to greenlight a bunch of other shows. I heard one then got scrapped. I heard that got scrapped, and that was the one I heard. I was kind of most excited for. That was the Seafaring one.
Right, that's the one with the sea snake. Right, that is another character in the show.
Right, I heard he's gonna make
just so happens to be I think not the uncle, but all right. So basically, his kid, one of his kids, basically ends up marrying Daemon, and the other one ends up marrying Rhaenyra when she gets older, right? So it's like that. It's basically about this family just trying to unite in some sort of way. Right. So she's like, hey, my kid here, in the next few years when she turned 18, like literally, there's one of his daughters actually. I think when first time we see her, she's like 12, and I did watch it like, wait, no, like, do you really want to marry her off now? It's like no.
That's pretty.
That's not when she gets older then.
That's pretty clever. That's pretty clever too. I thought where the time jumping in this.
Yes. Again, points for that too as well.
Having that much time jumping and having not be confusing was great.
Yeah.
Because what they didn't do as well is they didn't have them in old people makeup. They get new actors.
Yes, well, if I have just a couple gripes, right? So yes, you're right in terms of getting older actors to play the children, right?
Yeah.
So case in point, Alicent and Rhaenyra, right? I thought that it was just gonna be played by these teenagers now.
Yeah.
But then no, actually the second half is like no, we get Olivia Cook now to play. I didn't know she was gonna be this honestly to play Alicent, and we have Emma Darcy. Performance-wise, they were great in this, right? Who plays Rhaenyra, right?
Again,
who ends up becoming the queen because of reasons.
Right?
Yeah. But yeah, when it comes to just the children themselves, because of course, Rhaenyra have kids and Alicent have kids too. Yeah, even in that second half, they get older, And one thing I like about the show here is that the setup, this is 172 years before, if I got the
I think about
thing
that.
wrong,
About that, yeah.
The number wrong, forgive me, before Daenerys step into the scene. So yeah, it makes sense to just skip years, right? So they'll skip like 10 years or like a few years afterwards, and so on. It works, right?
And the oldest comparison to this and Lord of the Rings was the whole Lord of the Rings is more straightforward in terms of its morality, and this decides to do the more nuanced morality stuff,
Yeah.
gray zone stuff, right?
Yeah, very, very complex and
Right,
stuff like that.
right,
Yeah.
and it's up to you what you want to believe. I don't think one is necessarily superior to the other.
No.
I happen to
Well, I think like the perfect person who exudes that complexity is Damon, right? Because the first few episodes, like,
real trash.
nah, I really should not like this dude. This
Yeah,
dude is
real trash.
trash. Right?
Yeah, real trash,
But then,
yeah.
like, eventually when he hooks up with a certain someone, we're not gonna spoil
Yeah.
who it is. It's like, nah, it's like a means to end kind of thing.
Right.
Like he kind of
Right.
cool, but then afterwards, it's like, no, not really. He will still, like, spark when he's ready. Like, no, if this is what we gotta do, we gotta do. If I take
Right.
you out, fine, right? But yeah, early on, the man was trash,
Yeah,
you know.
but
yeah.
as I say, so in my opinion, so just my quick opinion on just a quick compare and contrast. Why I didn't like Rings of Power. I didn't hate Rings of Power, right?
No.
But my problems with Rings of Power was, well, they needed to like flesh this out a little better in terms of making it work. And like when everything was revealed, but I didn't watch the 2 episodes, but I finally watched it. to
Okay,
find out.
right.
And I found out who Sauron was.
Right.
I'm like, all right, I could kind of live with that.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah.
At first I was like, really? But
Yeah.
then I was thinking, oh, well, he's the devil. So it's like, all right, well, you know, the devil kind of thing.
All right.
It's like, all right, okay.
Yeah, all right.
And
then,
I like the, well, sorry for spoiling it, the Gandalf reveal too. That was
Right.
really cool. I
Right.
won't lie.
It wasn't super. It was predictable. A little bit.
Yeah,
As in, it's predictable in the bingo sense. Just by sheer elimination, you
Yeah,
kind of
if it wasn't Sauron, it had to be.
It had to be right,
yeah.
right. But because the pacing was so bad, and then we could get into a whole debate about what should have been written or not, in terms of Christopher Tolkien's wishes.
Yeah.
And what he
well,
wanted.
sorry that we stepping into Rings of Power territory, but I would have just removed the 3 Sauron chicks
Yeah.
in white. Yeah, I would have removed that altogether because
Yeah.
I was just kind of setting people up like,
Right.
oh, this really is Sauron, and they're
No.
like, nope.
Bullshit.
So how they gonna know that? Just to touch on that. Sorry for spoiling it, right? But how would they like not know it was Sauron, right?
Yeah.
Because they were just following. It's like, oh, this is Sauron, and then they realize, no, it's not him.
Yeah.
It's like, well, was he point then? You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, go on.
Yeah, but no, right. So, well, the reason why I nurtured, but the reason why is that he could be one is Ishtar and one isn't.
Oh, okay.
And so they confuse Ishtar and Maya, like because
Uh-huh.
they're not humans, no. Right, the angels or something like that.
Yeah, fallen angels. I
Right.
think, yeah.
Right, something like that. So they could have confused one with the other. Whatever. It's not a big deal, but my point is, it's just a compare and contrast and why Game of Thrones just did and handled this so much better, in my opinion. Again, I don't think it's like a masterpiece or anything like that. It's just the return to form.
Yeah,
That is
it is, yeah.
That is it. It's just a
well,
good
a few
return
things
to
for you
form.
before we get to it, right? So,
Yeah.
just touching on Rings of Power again, right? What I thought I was gonna say, what I really enjoyed about House of Dragon though, is that yes, they will reference Game of Thrones. They have to, right?
Yeah.
Whether you hear the name Stark or whatever,
Right.
it's or Targaryen, right? But for me, who was following the show for the 8th season run or whatever it is, right? And then after how the show dropped the ball in the last season, I just kind of wrote it off and I just move on with my life. I mean, sorry, we just live in a world where we just have tons of shows being pumped into us now.
Yeah.
So it's not for me now to just automatically remember every single thing that happened in the series, right?
Right.
Unless I buy the shit on Blu-ray, which I actually do want to. I actually do want to buy Game of Thrones on Blu-ray, despite the problematic, last 2 seasons, right?
Yeah.
But still, I like that this show here does not tell you, okay, well, if you want to understand how big a deal is, you need to go back and remember what happened in episode this of Game of Thrones. Like, no, we just throw in names. If you remember where it was referenced before, okay, cool. If you remember where the tree was with the red leaves and the face in the middle,
Yeah.
in the bark, okay, cool. But you don't have to do extra legwork to remember everything
Yeah.
and remember all. It's like, no, it's part of this world here. Eventually, if you were to recap Game of Thrones, which actually I don't mind doing,
And
it would make sense.
They're kind of borrowing from the Marvel model, right? Where Marvel, I would always argue, one of the weaker stuff in Marvel, all the weaker Marvel movies is the ones that you kind of have to remember all the extra bullshit.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And the stronger movies are the ones where you don't really have to do that. It's work on its own. Somebody could jump in and jump out. Don't have to learn anything. But it'll strengthen the experience. Right?
Yes.
It'll strengthen it. And that's what this did. Don't have to remember every bullshit. Don't have to remember everything. Just tell the story. You focus on the story. They come in, they tell the story, and you move on. If it happened to pay off some stuff, good.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Perfect example. Well, I'll just call names, right? Joffrey and Aegon, right?
Yeah.
So if you are a GOT nerd, you remember, oh, right, Aegon, this is what character A say about Aegon, and oh, this is where Joffrey, hate him or love him, right? One of my favorite characters for Game of Thrones, right? King Joffrey, right? Oh, that's where the name come from. Oh, that's his great grandfather or something like
Yeah.
that, right? But I love, like, in terms of those two names in particular, right? Especially Aegon, right? How you think, oh well, all right, the name's supposed to mean something, and this is what I love about the character of Viserys, right?
Yeah.
Where there's a moment where he says Aegon, right, and then he says it to his daughter, and she thinking, okay, it has to do with her come up, like her destiny to become, queen, right?
Right.
Basically to rule the Seven Kingdoms, right? But ironically, somebody else is named Aegon now, so that person now think that, oh well, Aegon now, this person Aegon is supposed to rule, and then when he ends up becoming king, slight spoiler, it's like, no, this is not what we wanted. But then they will say, no, this is what Viserys said. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I like that.
Yeah.
And it's like the logical aspects that lead into just the foundations of this house just crumbling. I just love that, right?
Yeah.
Performance wise, sorry,
Everybody was good.
everybody
was
kills
good.
it.
Everybody was
Even the children themselves.
Yeah.
And also points for the actress who plays the young Alicent and the young Rhaenyra, right?
Yeah.
They were great though. To the point that I was thinking, okay, the whole show is gonna be about them, right?
Yeah.
By the way, points for Millie Alcock, that's her name, right? Point for her she just have this look about her, like she just don't want anything to do with any bullshit. She just kind of comes in, she just has this scowl about her,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But yeah, I was surprised after the first half where you saw Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook, right? And yeah, they crushed her as well too, right? Matt Smith, though, he was
Yeah.
great, though. Again, I just thought that he was just going to be this antagonist. He's just going to be this baddie throughout, though. But then he hooks up with somebody, he's like, oh,
Yep.
okay, not that bad as all that. But still, it's like, no, something is off with him. I like how the show plays on that, right? Yeah, the supporting characters as well, too. And, like, again, just everybody crushed it, though. But really, what worked for me, though, is the storytelling, boy. How you just see slowly but surely how this foundation just crumbles and then eventually falls apart, boy.
Yeah.
And then that leads to the final episode, boy, which has a very, very, very spectacular moment near the end involving dragons, as all I'll say.
That
Just
look real
visualize
hard.
that shit look
I-
awesome,
yeah,
my
that
God.
look real hard. Because I was watching it and then you see something out of the clouds. Like, oh
Yes!
shit! Like,
See, that was like,
and,
yes!
and it just look, I mean, how detailed it look at it, like, wait, it look gross, eh? But like,
Yeah.
not real hard.
Yeah, and to touch on the dragons, yes,
Yeah, boy.
you see a lot of, not a lot of dragons, but you
Right.
see dragons in this.
Yeah.
So yes, folks, you will get dragons in this show.
Yeah.
It's not about them, right? For better or for worse, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, though, like just the VFX work on this show is
Yeah.
fantastic, boy. My
Yeah.
God, especially in that final episode. And yeah, where the story stops, that's all I'll say. It's just
Yes.
like, yeah, shit get real now.
Yeah.
Shit get real.
Yeah.
I am ready for this though.
Yeah.
What I would just say though, just in closing, I know some people may prefer the multi-character aspect of the original series, where it's
Right.
like, all right, you follow this character, you follow that character, you have a favorite character, okay, I want to see what happens next. You don't really care for this character, okay, let's skip and see what
Right.
happens next, right? But no, because it's about this large family, right? This royal family, if you will, right? And your siblings, your relatives, who marry into the family, yada yada yada. You pretty much follow these individuals, and it works. It makes the story a lot easier to follow, right? This is a slow burn of a show, right? So
Right.
don't go in expecting a lot of thrills or action, whatnot. And one thing I really want to bring
No,
up
but
here, right?
it's good. It was good pacing though.
Yes,
It's not,
yes,
It
it
did
is.
not. It not again. Nowhere near as bad as Rings of Power.
No. But the
That's the
scenes
thing.
themselves, even
Yeah.
though they might seem slow,
Yeah.
there's a lot
The
being
silver
said. There's
purpose,
a lot.
yeah.
Yeah,
Everything's
silver
silver
purpose.
purpose,
There's a lot
yeah.
going on, and yes, this is very dialogue heavy and whatnot. But that doesn't mean that you don't get your kills, right? There's one particular kill where a person get your head cut off, or I would just say 3/4 of his head cut off. They look so badass
Yeah.
though. But it's how they build up to it though that really make that shot work
Yeah.
for me. I love, right? But also one thing though, I would say that people might miss the sensationalism of Game of Thrones, where it's like, all right, well, every episode, all right, I need to see some sex, I need to see
Right.
some nudity, I need to see some blood. Not really with this one. You get your sex, you get your nudity, you get your blood, you get your violence and whatnot. But it is to serve a purpose, one, but also it's not that type of show. And I have to give the showrunners credit for saying, okay, we know this is what people expect from
Right.
Game of Thrones, but no, we want to do something a little bit different here. We really want to make it about the family and what's going on here. It's about what's going on in the family and not about what this person do or
Right.
who he screw or whatever it is. Not like that, right? So I have to give them credit for that, right? And lastly, boy, this was an interesting call for me though, but actually, like the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. Keeping the theme song, like
Yep.
they just truncated a little bit,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
the same song that we know
And
and
then
love,
I think
right?
every opening is changed. I didn't notice. But I think every opening
No,
had slight modifications to them.
I didn't notice that,
Okay.
but there's an emphasis on blood in it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So both thematically, but in the intro, you see blood, literally see
Yeah.
it, right? But like when you see everything kind of come together,
Yeah,
like I
it's
always
a
like to
classic.
do that,
It's a
right?
classic team talk. Don't
Yeah.
fix. Don't try to change how they work.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. But visually, you're talking about that title sequence. Yeah, it make a lot of sense. It's just
Yeah.
all these blood stuff just come together, and it's like, yeah, this is exactly what the show is about. And yeah, I am excited as hell to see the next season whenever that shows up. So yeah, I mean, didn't expect we was gonna get a prequel to Housey Dragon, but they did it, and it
Yeah.
totally worked. And I would say, yeah, this is hands down one of the best prequel shows I've seen,
Yeah.
like in a horror, man. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the thing. Almost every big show right now is a prequel show, though.
You know,
It's
you know.
weird, eh? Andor, thing. Everything's a prequel
Better
show.
Call
now.
Saul. You know, I would
Better
say,
Call Saul,
yeah,
right?
This is like the perfect
I
comparison.
think the only
to
show
Better
that
Call
really
Saul.
sequeling itself is probably what? Star Trek Discovery. That is it.
Oh yeah, perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
But just before I get to rating though, I really do compare this to Better Call Saul, where they do feel
Right.
independent of each other. Yes,
Yeah.
House of Dragon is part of Game of Thrones, but it could stand on its own. And particularly the way how it's directed. I forgot to mention the editing. Like
Yes.
nearly every
Yes.
single episode always has some sort of montage like moment where it kind of cuts with certain scenes. Love that. You never saw that before with any with Game of Thrones itself. So
Yeah.
just giving it its own style, its own flavor, but it still is part of that GOT universe, man. So yeah, I absolutely enjoy this. Rated wise, I'm gonna give this a very light 4.5 out of 5, man. This is absolutely worth checking out. It lives up to the hype and more. And yeah, just where it stops up, boy. Like yeah, I can't wait, boy. I can't wait to see what
Yeah.
we get to season
Yeah.
2.
Well, you had to wait 2 years, but
I know, but
Yeah, but-
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, man. Final thoughts and rating.
Yeah, 8 out of 10.
right.
I just didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I went in very pessimistic.
Okay, I was gonna, skeptical.
No, pessimistic. Because I was thinking, wait, buddy, how are they going to recover? How are they going to get people to be interested in it again? And in my head, I was like, well, the only real problem children was D&D, right?
Yeah.
In NAD. Like, they were the only problem children. In my opinion, they're the main reason why all of this happened. We could debate again. If it have D&D defenders out there are going to explain this in a better way and a more, a more charitable light for them, fine. But to me, they kind of deliberately burned down that whole thing just for their own careers. That's how that whole thing come across to me. That's how it, because to me, the behavior is too weird.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to happen. Again, I'll just ask a simple question. Why is they couldn't get new showrunners? They could have leave, get 3 more seasons, show what I done. Explain to me, I dumb, right? Like if I was at Eli 5, explain like I'm 5. I want to hear why does the show couldn't end, why the show had to end with them. I still can't follow that. Whatever.
Well, what I will say, that's just one thing, right? Now, this is coming from somebody who loves The Wire. Wire is still my favorite TV show of all time.
Right.
And Sopranos, right? Both from HBO, right? They went, well, all right, so Wire went for 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Sopranos went for 6, I think, right? 6 or 7, right? Now, yes, they go on past the 6th season route, right? So they was in 7, right? That's why I was telling myself 7 and 8 could have just been one season and they ended off, right?
Right.
But you saying that the show could have gone on, but maybe I'm not trying to defend D&D, right? Or HBO, but maybe they just figured, all right, but we don't want to be like like Walking Dead, where it just keep going on and on and on.
No, but no,
so
but
we have to end it, right? But you have to end it on a
The
satisfactory note,
problem is
but
that
they rush everything.
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
Yeah.
No, the material was there. Like
Yeah.
Walking Dead, the problem with Walking Dead is that the material not there.
True.
That's the problem with
You were
Walking
just kind of figured out things on the way.
Exactly, because
Sorry,
the
coming up
problem
with
with
ideas
the
on
problem
the
with
way.
Walking Dead is that is how because when the comic, listen, like I said, the source material, in my opinion, stalled out
Okay.
at a certain point, in my opinion.
All right. I never read the comics at all.
Right.
So
I find the source material stalled out, and they decided they changed some stuff from the source material, which is a good call, right? In that case, you changing from the source material is a good call in that case. But because they do that now, and then another problem is that because it don't translate in the same way, when an actor leave, there's a problem now.
That's right.
So they kill off certain characters, and like, all right, well, he can't come back, so what you gonna do now, right? Chadel Coleman, perfect example. They can make a whole chunk of shit with Chadel Coleman, but no, he had to die because he leave.
Yep.
And well, he went on to two good solid roles. He went on to Expanse and The Orville, right? So it's like, all right, cool, moving on. But with this now, the people stick. So you could argue that the actors themselves wanted to leave or whatever it is. All right, fine, but you could wait.
Yeah.
That's my point. You could have they could take the time just to wrap it up, you know. They didn't need the time. The only issue you have to worry about maybe is the younger characters getting older. The actors. That's it. Right? You know, you have the Carl problem now.
Right.
Carl sounds like a big hardback man now.
Yeah.
But that's the only problem. Whatever. Moving on. Like, I didn't see the big issue with it as it is. I don't know.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
But hey, House of Dragon is here. It is pretty much the apology for
It's an apology. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is what it feels
apology
like.
accepted.
Apology
Thank you,
accepted.
HBO.
That's what it feels
Yeah.
like. It feels like an apology.
Yes.
Anyway.
Apology accepted. But yeah, House of Dragon is a real deal.
Yeah,
Y'all should
fantastic.
check it out.
I really
And
enjoyed it.
And
Yeah.
believe you me, even if you were burned, because a lot of people were burned by that fire season. Me, not so much. I was just like, okay, that's all y'all want to end it. All right, cool. Let me just move on.
Because,
my life.
okay, here's the thing.
This is for
because-
you. This
because
is
I'm not-
to make all you feel better. You know what I mean?
Because I'm not a Game of Thrones fan, I didn't care. Like, I wasn't like, I didn't wrap up myself into it. It's not like with Star Trek Picard.
Okay.
That just because I care about
You wasn't
Picard.
emotionally invested,
Exactly, I was
right.
invested. I wasn't invested in the same way other people was invested. But like, I could imagine if you were invested, you'd be pissed off. And I take my time, I didn't look. I watch it after. I remember watching it after. I wait till like a 2-3 weeks when it died down. And that's investigate the arson,
Yeah.
right? Just to see what's going on exactly. And when I watched it, I was like, well, yeah, this just needed more time though.
Yeah.
To flesh
But
out.
can I just say one
10
more thing?
pounds? Where there's 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag though.
Yeah.
That's what it feel like.
So let us say one last thing and then we move on, right? So I find it's kind of funny now that, it is focused on, the Targaryens, right? And you remember one of the main characters that pissed people off in that final season, of course, was Daenerys and her sudden heel turn, right?
Right.
And how, ironically, the Iron Throne didn't really mean anything because she died, and then the dragon was like, fuck it, and this, and then burning the throne, right?
Yeah.
So now I feel like this show here is just really kind of saying, okay, even if somebody actually acquires the Iron Throne, ultimately it's not going to be worth it anyway. So it kind of makes sense, kind of, that Daenerys didn't get. Because remember, the whole show, series was kind of building up like she was going to get. But because he didn't write it properly, it just felt like, oh, she just turned heel and she died and she just didn't get.
No, yeah,
so
again, 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Yeah.
It's look, it's a bunch of solid ideas. I was watching it. Even Brandy Broken.
Yeah.
Still a good idea. I didn't think that was a bad idea. People say, oh, that was a terrible idea. No, not a bad idea in my opinion when you think about it. But you need to flesh that out. You need to breed, as they say.
Exactly.
Yep.
Anyway, so moving on, right?
Life goes on.
Life goes on. But House of Dragon still exists, guys.
Yes.
Y'all should check it out, right?
Yes.